University. The place your parents force you to go so you can pay $100,000 in tuition and then not get a job after. What's not to love? Before we start, I should say this is the second of a two-part series where I talk about my educational experiences during lockdown. Part 1 was all about graduating high school in 2020, and this one is about my time at university. If you haven't watched part 1 yet, that's fine, you won't miss anything, but I'll put a link at the end of this video. I'm gonna start with some wacky university stories, which will inevitably devolve into straight up ranting, so you've got that to look forward to. Now, let's get into it. Here's a story from my very first in-person class. So, I was pretty nervous, naturally. I was standing awkwardly in the corner of the hallway, waiting for the current lecture to end so I could make my way in. After what felt like hours, the doors finally opened and I claimed the ideal spot. Middle section, about halfway back. That's the perfect seat, because in any of these areas, you get the chatterboxes who won't listen to a second of the lecture, and they'll make sure you don't either. You don't want to sit here, because professors will call on you constantly. The side sections are fine, but the middle is ideal because you can exit from either side and you won't get stuck between a wall and some smelly comp sci major. Anyway, I sit down and the room is starting to fill up when we all get an email from our professor saying there won't be any classes for the entire week because the AC unit isn't working. In September. In Canada. Yeah, I'm pretty sure that professor was not ready to teach yet. I couldn't believe a professor would wait until their first class had already started and all their students showed up to tell us that class was canceled. Fast forward 1 week. I guess that professor managed to scramble together a lesson plan because we actually had class that day. Okay, take 2. There I am, standing nervously in the hallway, death grip on my backpack among a sea of students. I start to freak out a little. Oh man, I don't know anybody in this class. I don't have anyone to sit next to. Heck, I have no idea which of these people are even in my class. That's when I hear 2 girls next to me talking about Indigenous Studies 107, my class. Phew, that's my class. At least I'm in the right place. I just said that. Shut up, I'm having an internal monologue. Sorry, excuse me, are you 2 in Indig 107? That's my class.
Yeah, can you believe our prof canceled all of our classes last week?
Oh, thank goodness, classmates. It was a bit strange. I still don't really know what our prof looks like.
Oh, she's supposed to be kinda nuts. Hey, do you want to sit with us?
Yes! I mean, sure. Yeah, that's fine, I guess. Whatever. We make it to our seats, which are at the front, next to the wall, and class starts. Everything's normal at first. I'm just glad that I'm not sitting alone like a freaking loser. And then these 2 girls start yapping out loud in the middle of a lecture, and they won't stop talking. I can't hear the professor at all, and she keeps shooting us looks as if to say, hey, you 3, shut up. But I hate conflict. I can't tell these people I just met to shut up. But I'm also a keener and a people pleaser. I would rather die than have the professor not like me. It was the worst situation I could think of for a first day. I have to cut contact with these 2 immediately if I want to preserve my image as a certified good boy. I can't even pay attention with them around. There's no way I can—
Aiden, give us your Snapchat.
Just say no. Say no thanks and walk away. Okay, here you go. Why did I do that? And so, for the next several weeks, I was added to group chats, invited to parties, and got a lot of new people asking me for help with their homework. It was a waking nightmare. I couldn't even hide from these 2. They'd always seek me out after class ended and ask why I didn't sit with them. Maybe one of them had a crush on me, maybe they just wanted to pawn their homework on me. Either way, I needed to escape. Eventually, I worked up the courage to tell them it was hard for me to focus and that I just needed to sit alone. So I did, like a loser. But you know what? Turns out there are worse things to be in university than a loser. You could be one of those girls. The wildest thing I saw at university, though, was in that same Indig 107 lecture hall. I have no idea how to set this one up, so I'm just gonna jump into the meat of it. There I am, bored out of my mind, taking notes on a PowerPoint that was already on the course website anyway, when I noticed this guy out of the corner of my eye. He has his laptop open, but also his phone, and he's playing Slope Game Online. I look up at the projector, look back, and now he's on Instagram. Wow, that was fast. Guess he got bored of— huh? Now he's on people.com, and he's on Instagram on his phone now? I swear, this guy scoured the entire internet over the course of one lecture. I don't know if this guy has crippling ADHD or what, but he was vibrating in his seat, going from website to website so fast I could barely register what sites he was visiting. And he was doing it on his phone and laptop at the same time. My man's was multitasking procrastinating. Oh wow. My man's was multitasking procrastinating. I look down at my notes and back up. He's on Google Street View in Africa. Africa, staring at people's houses. Look down, back up. He's on Friv, playing Kingdom Rush or something. Down, up. He's shopping for natural virgin coconut cream on Amazon. I'm not kidding. When I saw that, I stopped whatever I was doing, grabbed my phone, and wrote that down so I wouldn't forget it. I tuned out the rest of that lecture because I just could not stop watching this guy. It was like watching one of those fast worker compilations, but the fast worker was this dude's attention span. Alright, now I want to talk a bit about how lockdown affected my time at university. For starters, online classes are rough. I had numerous 3-hour lectures a week, and believe me, trying to memorize the different types of columns 2.5 hours deep into an online lecture is damn near impossible. Now, unlike Corinthian or Ionic columns, Doric columns are much more simplistic by design. Doric, like from League of Legends, your dick. The only classes I actually enjoyed were my psychology classes. Learning how our brains work is utterly fascinating. Have y'all heard of split brain studies, where people's lobes can't communicate? Or an EEG machine, that stands for electroencephalography by the way, that can just turn off your ability to talk? It's nuts, go look that up. In my 3rd year, we were finally allowed back on campus. Personally, I found it incredibly difficult to make friends. Everyone was super jaded from lockdown, and it did not help with our social skills. I remember one guy in my animation class had One Piece stickers on his laptop case. I've never seen One Piece, but hey, anime, right? Anime's cool. This guy must be cool. So I approached him after class. Hey, I like your laptop case. He looks at me, turns around, and promptly starts talking to somebody else. Ouch, alright, note to self. One Piece, not a great conversation starter. Maybe I'm just socially awkward, but I'd like to blame my lack of friends on the residual effects of the pandemic. It wasn't easy for anyone to get back to normalcy. I tried my best, but every time I thought I made a friend in class, they would immediately ghost me once the class was over. The same thing happened in choir, too. I love singing, but my schedule was full first term, so I didn't get to join until halfway through the year. I'm sure being the new guy helped in my feeling alienated, but man, music students are weird. I tried to strike up conversation with them before practice started, and whoa, I'm excited to try this new piece. Eric Whitacre is one of my faves. Alright, well, smell you later. Now, for my rant, I'd like to introduce you to my alter ego. He's not quite as, shall we say, pleasant. His name is Shaden. It's a portmanteau of the words shade, as in throwing shade, and Aidan, as in my name. We get it. Jeez, does that guy ever stop talking? Don't worry, he'll be fine, probably. I graduated university last year with a 3-year Bachelor of Arts specializing in studio art. Here's a question I get asked all the time. Wait, Aidan, you only went for 3 years? How come you didn't get a 4-year degree? Because it was a complete waste of time and money. It took me 3 years and $30,000 down the drain to realize that going to art school in the middle of bumfrick, nowhere Saskatchewan, was a bad move. Okay, yes, it was partly my fault for enrolling in the first place, I'll admit that. But come on, I was like 17 years old when I had to make this decision. And my university's website advertised that with this program, I could get a job as an animator. Right there. See? Animator. So that was a hecking lie. Since I was, like, 12, I've always wanted to make anime. Going to work every day for 12 hours, destroying my wrists, and getting paid pennies, I was ready. As long as I got to draw anime, I was prepared for the most abysmal of working conditions. I was stoked when I realized my local university had an art program that would apparently land me a job as an animator. After 3 years of contemporary art practice where literally all I learned was how to throw paint at a wall, I decided to graduate early and save myself $10,000, and probably a dozen mental breakdowns. That program taught me nothing about animation. I really hated every art class I took. It was just 80-year-old professors trying to brainwash me into liking contemporary art. It's not good, okay? This sucks. It takes no skill. It doesn't mean anything. Well, actually, when Marcel Duchamp showed up and shoved a urinal into an art exhibition, he really challenged the definition of art, and technical skill isn't important
Enough! I'm sick of all you puny mortals and your excuses.
To illustrate my point, let's play a game, shall we? Multi-million-dollar painting? Or something I made in MS Paint that took me 5 seconds? Number 1. Well, what do you think? If you guessed MS Paint, you're right. Took me 10 seconds. Here, I'll show you. Alright, we'll start by filling it in with some blue, then we'll take some light blue and drop it down here. That's pretty good. And fill it in. Done. Oh, and by the way, any resemblance this might have to Blinky Palermo's Untitled, which sold for $1.7 million, is purely coincidental. Number 2. Here's a tough one. Maybe I had some fun with texturing, Or maybe this is On Mon Vie by Barnett Newman, who made a whopping $43.8 million. Money laundering. Number 3. Well, this one certainly looks pixelated. Maybe this one was me. You're right, it was. This represents how I feel when universities scam minors into spending tens of thousands of dollars for a faux education, as a hypothetical example. Number 4. Ooh, interesting. Just a regular plain black canvas, right? Yes. Right. I took this picture in my basement. But you thought for a second, didn't you? Number 5. We all did this as kids, right? Making squares in paint and filling them with primary colors. This is one of mine. Turns out though, if you're P.A. Mondrian, you can call it composition number 3 with red, blue, yellow, and black and sell it for $50.6 million. Number 6. I don't even have the energy to pretend anymore. You remember Barnett Newman? That guy who made $44 million for painting a white stripe? He made $84.2 million for this. The Emperor has no clothes, y'all. My entire university experience was professors shoving this down my throat, and I'm so tired of pretending it's good. I had to write so many papers about paintings that were just 3 different colored lines, and I got really high marks. Why? Because you just have to make up a bunch of emotional and philosophical sounding garbage and your profs will give it 100%. I tried to write a paper once criticizing contemporary art and praising the Romantic era, which is my favorite. My prof almost failed me and told me that I didn't understand what they were teaching. That pisses me off, if you can't tell. I should say this, sometimes university is a wonderful thing. If you're studying to be a nurse, lawyer, veterinarian, engineer, biologist, or what have you, university is essential. Thank goodness we have professionals on the cutting edge to teach the younger generation vitally important skills before they enter the workforce. But there are so many classes that are such poor excuses for education, it's embarrassing. I could set up a Bob Ross paint night in my garage, and I promise you will learn more than in an entire semester of university, or at least the university I went to. There are lots of fantastic animation and art schools out there that will teach you important skills and hook you up with well-paying jobs. Just be very careful about which you pick. But even with absolutely necessary education like medical school, why do they pump it full of electives? Hello, I'd like to attend medical school so I can be a doctor one day. Alright, I can get you into poetry 110 and geology 130. Sorry? I said medical school. You think you could become a doctor without learning poetry? You think there are doctors out there delivering babies who don't know what a villanelle is? Do you realize how stupid you sound right now? ABA. It's an ABA rhyming scheme, you understand? That'll be $8,000. For your textbook. I should probably stop now because I could rant about university endlessly. Why is parking more expensive than my rent? Why does the food court open at 1 p.m. and close at 4 p.m.? Why do professors get to upcharge students to buy textbooks that they wrote? Why do I have to be in school for 2 years before I can even start applying to other programs? Sorry about him, everyone. Things can get a little ugly when he's let out of his cage for too long. If you went to university during lockdown, let me know what your experience was in the comments. Maybe you disagree. Maybe you think contemporary art is wonderful. I ain't here to judge. This is just my opinion. Thank you for watching, and a special thank you to Mythica for being my first ever channel member. If you want to be cool like Mythica and get access to custom emotes, badges, and shoutouts at the end of my videos, you can become a member by clicking the join button below. Like, subscribe, and share this video with your dog. Peace out. Hooah!